Hello, welcome to Talk of the Town. I am your host, Abby on the Avenue, Marketing Director for Appleton Downtown Incorporated. Talk of the Town is a podcast where we shine a spotlight on the people, places, and passion in our community. Each episode, we engage in meaningful conversations with community ambassadors and local business owners as they share their stories about what makes our district thrive. Whether you're a history buff, foodie, music lover, or something in between, there's something here for everyone. Join us as we uncover the stories of what makes downtown Appleton one great place. Today, I'm excited to have Maria Van Lannen, President and CEO of the Fox Cities Performing Arts Center, with us on the podcast today. The Fox Cities PAC is a premier venue for live performing arts, music, and culture from all around the world. Please help me welcome Maria.
Hello, Abby. It's great to be here.
Yes. Thank you for coming on the podcast to talk about all the great things going on at the PAC, because it's just ever evolving of all the fun stuff that you guys have going on over there. But before we dive in, let's talk a little bit about you. How did you get into the world of this performing arts and, into this great position and just all the different things?
Absolutely. Well, I grew up as a child. My family moved around a lot, but Northeast Wisconsin was mainly where we called home. Mm-hmm. And music was always a very important part of my life growing up. And so as I was preparing for college and finding my way, I ended up in a wonderful position that brought me closer to a more well-rounded performing arts experience. And that's when I was hooked, and I knew that that's what I wanted my career to be. Mm-hmm. After college, I moved away to Minneapolis, and I worked in the Broadway industry for several years, focusing on presenting Broadway across the country. So I worked coast to coast on Broadway shows. And then the Performing Arts Center started getting some legs, and this idea that had been talked about for decades was finally moving forward and becoming a reality. And I was very fortunate to be in some of those early conversations. And I absolutely fell in love with the mission of the Performing Arts Center, because the founders and the people who were bringing this dream to life really understood the impact that live performing arts can have on a community as a whole and each of us as individuals. And that's where my passion is. And so I was very fortunate to be able to join the team back in 2001. If you're doing your math at home, that was a full year before we actually opened our doors to the public. So I've been able to be a part of this journey since the very beginning.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of people don't realize that this hasn't been around for that long.
That's right. We are just entering into our 23rd season, which, time is an interesting thing, right? Because in some respects, it's hard to imagine what our downtown was like, what our community was like before the Performing Arts Center. But then when you think about it, it's only been 23 years.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people, as we're talking about it, think that it was just something that was always there and things were kind of built around that. I was just talking to somebody recently and they were talking about it and I'm like, it hasn't even been around that long. I'm like, it's only been about 20 or so years, and they didn't believe me.
Right. Yes. It's incredible. Our community is so special in the fact that when we see an opportunity to make the community better, to bring people together in new and interesting ways, we really dig in and make it happen in a way that it's so organic and so natural that it is hard to imagine how we all did it before.
Exactly. Yeah. And were you always in this position since the start?
No, when I began at the Fox Cities Performing Arts Center, I was actually in marketing. So I was the senior marketing director when I first got hired, and I became president and CEO in 2014.
Okay. It's the marketing pros. I might be a little bit biased, but
I know,
they're the best ones, right? Well, now we could talk a little bit. I know we just covered, some of the history of the PAC, but, talk a little bit about, those conversations that, were had early on and how this amazing arts center that we know today really took shape.
Well, one of the things that's very special about the Performing Arts Center is that it is truly an independent, local, nonprofit arts and education organization. So this organization from the very beginning was founded in the ideals and listening to what's important to this community, what already exists, what are the strengths we can lean into, and where are the gaps, and what could a new performing arts center do to enhance and fill all of those opportunities. And that's the spirit that has stuck with us since that inception. So we're always having those conversations with the community to say, where are the needs, where are the opportunities, where are the things that are happening in really special ways that through collaboration we can enhance and make even bigger. So that is something that I think is very unique. We aren't a government-funded agency in any significant way,
Right.
Which in the early days was a more challenging way to begin a
Right.
nonprofit of this size, doing the type of work that we do. But it has proven since the beginning this idea of truly being the community's performing arts center. The community had a dream. They were able to provide input into how that took shape, and they help support it and continue to guide where we go today and in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing because obviously this is it's not a small idea. I mean, like, let's build this big, beautiful performing arts center. That's obviously, a big pill to swallow, not only just financially, but thinking about the future. I mean, as you were doing it then, I'm sure you were thinking about, where we are today and like, where do we want this to go 20 years from now, 30 years from now, to be able to inspire and continue that, idea of keeping that, the performing arts alive in the community. And, I would have loved to have been at the table at that time to just hear those conversations. And I love to, hear them now in my current role of just, how these are just nuggets of ideas and how, they truly bloom and blossom into what we see today is truly amazing.
Right. And one of the ways to ensure success of an organization, like you said, that has in some ways is so large is this idea of it needs to be extremely dynamic. So there are so many layers to what we do, from serving as an extension to the classroom where students are seeing the Very Hungry Caterpillar come to life, or the story of Fahrenheit 451, right? Things that they're studying in the classroom coming to life, which really engages those students who learn in different ways, right? To, of course, the best of Broadway, which we're all very, very fortunate with all of the Wisconsin premier Broadway titles that have been here as the first place in the state, to these cultural experiences where we're able to experience the history of the world, the cultures that surround us, to help us gain a greater understanding of who we are as individuals and those who surround us, and maybe experience things that we may not have an opportunity to become aware of and or experience in any other way. So it's important to have all of those things. Plus, as the community's gathering place, we have business meetings, we have weddings, we have class reunions. You think of it and it happens. And we need to make sure that we're providing a venue and a staff that can accommodate all these different shapes and sizes and types of gatherings.
Yeah. There are so many different things that you can experience when you're at the PAC, even just beyond those amazing Broadway shows that you guys have. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those specific things later. But, imagine that somebody is a first-time visitor to the PAC. What can they expect?
Well, I think it's interesting, right? Because there's a lot of visceral things that happen when you come to the Performing Arts Center. We always talk about when you approach the Performing Arts Center, again, it is a rather large building, even though it was really well designed to have different architectural features that help break up the facade so that it does mirror the rest of downtown with kind of these smaller storefronts. So there's this great beauty in approaching the building. And then once you get in, of course, for those with sensory sensitivities, we like to point out that there is a little bit of commotion when you scan your tickets. There's going to be a beep. When you go through security, there's going to be a beep. And then you enter the lobby, and there's this great open space where you're able to see our beautiful downtown College Avenue. You're able to see and have this visual connection with the other audience members who are getting excited for the event. You probably will want to stop and get a beverage or some form of refreshment. And then from there, you make your way into the warm glow of whether it's Thrive Hall or Kimberly Clark Theater. There's just this great warmth in the way that it's lit.
Yes,
and
there's the perfect way to describe that.
Yeah, so you just feel like you're walking into a place of comfort. And what I love is as you get closer and closer to that curtain or that start time, you can feel the anticipation start to build.
Yes.
And then I love, just as the house lights are dimming, you look around and you see all of these people, either the people you came with and you know you're about to embark on an adventure, and you see all the other people around you who are complete strangers, but you know you're about to experience something that is truly unique, will never be experienced in the same way again.
Yes.
And those lights go down and there's that moment of silence and then you're off.
Oh, I get goosebumps. But that was truly just such an amazing way to describe it. But, as those lights go down, you kind of look around to see everybody like, oh, are you ready? And this excitement just builds and builds and builds. But yeah, you talk about, especially in that entryway and the view of College Avenue and just the amazing, natural light that comes in that building is so beautiful. And I mean, we could probably do a whole episode on the architecture and the way that the building was made and all those different things. But truly, like, I just love that about that opening space. I was just in there, multiple times for My Live Music and all those different things. And it is just truly something that is, beautiful and takes your breath away no matter how many times you go in there.
Yeah, and it's fun to see. I love our education shows when we've got the students coming through the doors, and especially the littles, the pre-K, kindergarten, first graders. They walk in and they're always like, they always stop. There's like this little ripple that happens because the first one in the line will stop and then they all bump into each other as they're looking up at the big open lobby space. And I remember I was in the lobby in one particular show last year, and there was a group of first graders coming through, and the one first grade boy looks at his friend as they walk in. He said, "See, I told you it was a castle," which I just thought was so much fun.
That.
So it's fun to hear the stories through the kids' eyes. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I can't even imagine how big it appears to them, let alone us. Right? But it's great that they, get to experience that. So, and just, a couple of other things when people are coming in, because, for some people, coming to a performing arts, show or Broadway show or things like that, you're not really sure what, you need to do or what to expect. So, do people need to dress up when they come? How should somebody kind of prepare, I should say, for coming into a show?
Right. And that is such a great question, and one we get all the time. And the thing that I like to tell people is, again, this is your gathering place. Yeah. So we want you to be comfortable. We want everyone to feel comfortable when they come to see a performance at the center. So for some people, they are making a date night of it. This is their big night out, and they're going to get dressed up, and that's fantastic. We love to see the people who are dressed up. We have a group of season ticket holders who come on the weekends, and they always dress according to the theme of the show. And we look forward every weekend to see what they're going to come up with this time that inspired what they're going to wear, inspired by the show. And then there are other people who that's just not, they don't feel themselves when they're in these dressy clothes. And we want people to feel able to come truly expressing themselves. So we want people to be comfortable. Also, we have some individuals who may not have the means to buy a special outfit to come to the theater. That's okay. We want you to come and be comfortable. The other thing I'll say, in addition to do we need to dress up fancy or not, I also think know who you are and how you feel in spaces. For example, I'm someone who's always cold. So if I'm going to be inside, I'm always bringing an extra layer just to be safe. There are other people. I have a really good friend. She is the complete opposite of me. She's always running hot. So I'm like throwing on the sweater and she's taking off layers, being like, oh my goodness. So it's important to know yourself and make sure that you're preparing. Bring layers. If you're someone who's more sensitive to temperatures, make sure that you're preparing, because it is a big space. And again, everybody experiences temperature a little differently.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same as you. I'm always running a little bit chilly, but it's good to know, because, you see sometimes on TV and things when people are going to these Broadway shows, and sometimes they're in these big fancy dresses, men are in suits, and there's, that's great. But it's good to know that it's not an expectation.
Absolutely, yes. And I will say on Packer Sundays, guess what we're seeing? We're seeing lots of
We're
Packer
seeing
wear
Packer
too,
stuff.
So it's hard to get away from, right?
Yes, because you're catching a show before the game or after the
Or
game.
after,
You're getting
that's
it all
right.
in one day because you can do that.
Exactly.
You're in Appleton.
I was going to say that's the great thing about
Yeah.
being here in the Fox Cities. You can do it all. It's very accessible.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we have to take a moment to talk about the amazing staff and volunteers that people can, talk to and find when they're at a show, because they are truly just such amazing people that help enhance the experience that you have when you're there.
Yes. Our volunteers they are absolutely the best. They are our lifeblood. We hear from so many people in the community how important these volunteers are, because they are often the first faces that you see as you come through our doors. They can help you figure out on your phone how to access your ticket. They can make sure that you're getting to your seats on time. And our volunteers, again, it's a core, depending year to year, we're usually about 350 plus volunteers every year who are so dedicated to ensuring that you are having the best time while you are at the center. And so we are very, very grateful for them. And of course, the event services team and all of the staff behind the scenes who work so hard to make sure that every event is flawless.
Yeah, I mean, nonprofits can't preach it enough, us included, of how important volunteers are. I mean, they are the lifeblood, they are the heartbeat of our organizations, and we mean it when we say we can't do the amazing things that we do without them. So shout out to them. I know some of the volunteers you guys have volunteer with us as well. So shout out to Paul. He's amazing. And I'm sure that there's more, but just so many great people out there who are willing to give their time and energy to, whether that's working at the center or helping us out downtown. And just, the gift of that is very important.
Yeah.
So.
And again, I think that's something very unique to the Fox Cities region, right? People understand the value and the impact that they can have. And just like I know the ADI volunteers, our volunteers, they have a great connection. They spend so much, you think about all the events that we have at the Performing Arts Center and all the time they spend in our building helping the community. And yet, when we don't have events, they're going out in the community together. They're going to T-Rats games. They're going down to Chicago to see shows. So it's really great. It's this great little network of community coming together. And there's really amazing friendships that are formed through that giving.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, while we're on the subject, are you guys always looking for volunteers? Are there opportunities if people were interested?
Always. And now is a perfect time as we're, heading into this season. We're always looking for new volunteers. So people can find out more by calling us or going to the website. But there's always an opportunity to bring new community members on board.
Awesome. Perfect. Now, as we're, wrapping up talking about, the experience you can have when you come into the center, is there anything that makes the PAC stand out among other performing arts centers?
I think one of the things that we are incredibly passionate about, and again, it's from our inception, is this idea of the arts are really a window into having bigger conversations. So we make sure that the performances that happen on our stage, especially if you're talking about our Arts Alive, Spotlight, Viewpoint, Speaker Series events, and the Broadway, we're looking at what are the themes and ideas that are being explored through these shows, and how do we build connections in our community to those themes to make the arts more impactful personally for the individuals in our community. So we'll find out what those themes are, or again, if there are some cultures being represented or points in history, and partner with community organizations locally that share that same affinity, and then help to tell the story for greater understanding and connection with those living right here in the community with us. And that is something that we strive to do with nearly every performance that's taking place on stage. And that's incredibly unique. And again, it goes to that foundational idea of together we make this the incredible place it is to live. And we can build those opportunities for connection and a greater sense of belonging when we work together to shine a light on areas that some of us may be less aware.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just that strong connection that you guys have to our community, and not just our downtown community, but, Appleton, the Fox Cities as a whole, to just really shine a spotlight on some of those things is amazing, while still, contributing to your mission and the things that you guys need to do. So you do such a great job with that, and it allows people to learn and experience so many different things while they're there.
Right. That's the goal. And again, it is possible because we hear the questions and the input from the community, and it's those organizations and individuals who maybe feel better represented or more included in various groups to help shine that light on the opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of the amazing Broadway shows, which we will talk about in a little bit, you have a variety of other events and series at the PAC that people can enjoy throughout the year. So, and again, I know these things could really be entire episodes where we could talk about how amazing they are, but if you want to just give a little bit of an overview of some of those other things that people can experience and come to at the center.
Yeah, we referenced a few of them just a little bit ago. One is our Bolt Arts Alive series, and this is a series that's presented in the main theater, Thrivent Hall. And this series is really an opportunity to explore the world's cultures and histories through live performing arts. So you'll find a variety of artists from Soweto Gospel Choir to Masters of Illusion. There's a lot of great different kinds of performing arts and cultural arts that are part of that series. Then you have our Menasha Corporation Spotlight series, and this is a similar, wonderfully diverse collection of live performing arts, but they take place in our Kimberly Clark Theater. So it's a little bit smaller theater space, an opportunity to get a little closer to the performers and the art forms taking place.
Sure.
So there you've got performances like Sacred Winds, and you've got Randy Otto doing Winston Churchill. So again, a wide range of performances taking place there.
That's a little bit of a smaller hall than the bigger performing arts space that a lot of people are used to.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just is a different performing arts experience, which we think is really important.
Yeah.
Then our newest series that we present is called our Viewpoint Speaker Series. And this is such an amazing opportunity to explore the world around us with amazing adventurers. So in the past, people may recognize it was the National Geographic Speaker Series, Nat Geo. It's these individuals who are exploring the world and diving deep into different subjects, and they are so engaging. The visuals are stunning, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. They speak for a while, incredibly engaging, and then there's opportunity for a Q&A as well. So those have been fantastic.
Cool.
A
Fun way to
fantastic
engage
addition
with that. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And then the Fox Valley Symphony Orchestra, we can't forget our professional regional symphony orchestra, really providing a chance. Again, music has such an incredible way to impact and enhance our spirits and our outlook on life. And we are so very lucky to have the Fox Valley Symphony Orchestra as our resident partner.
That's awesome. There's just so many great, additional things outside of those Broadway shows that people can, visit and, experience, explore throughout the year beyond just those, initial Broadway shows.
And I think what's important about those series is sometimes because the Broadway series, they're big, they're splashy, there's a lot of advertising dollars behind those shows. People may have an idea of the Performing Arts Center and what kind of ticket price, right? If they're thinking Broadway prices. But a lot of these shows are subsidized and have, you can get tickets to a lot of these performances for $30, $35. There is student rush tickets available. So it's a great opportunity at a little bit lower risk price point to try something new and explore the world.
Yeah. That's very nice because, like you said, sometimes there is that preconceived notion. So this gives you an idea to just maybe get a little bit of a taste to see if this is, your flavor, or if there's something you just kind of want to pop into throughout the year that you have those affordable options for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to dive into it now, Maria, because I know everybody's looking into it. It's the 2025-26 Broadway season because this lineup is phenomenal. I mean, truly the comments and things that we were hearing just from our organization of how excited people were about this upcoming Broadway series is just amazing. And the work that you guys do to make it happen, and the fact that we can have these Grammy and Tony award-winning productions right here in downtown Appleton is just still blows me away.
Yes, we are. So it's always exciting when we finally announce the season to hear the community's reaction and to see which shows have people the most excited.
Yeah.
And I'm always especially thrilled when we have a season like this upcoming 25-26 season where the interest is so strong pretty much across the board.
Yes.
There's no like a one show that everybody's talking
Yes,
about.
I was
It's
just going to
all
say
of
that.
them. And I love when that happens because it really shows you that we're hitting a wide variety of titles in the Broadway series that really attract a lot of different audiences.
Yes. Yeah, I was literally going to say that because as I've been, talking to people and I know people within our organization are very excited, whether you're a season ticket holder or not, but just as you're hearing people talk about the ones they're excited about, all the different reactions of certain ones or all of them. And you guys did a great job of providing that variety this year and other years too, of course.
Yes,
But
well, thank you.
yeah. Yeah. So if you want to just give, a little bit of a preview, if there's a couple that you want to call out, some of the, the big ones that you guys are hearing a lot of buzz about. I know we just said all of them are really great, but.
Right. You have to start at the beginning, right? So we're excited to be launching the season with this all new spectacular production of Beauty and the Beast. It actually was mounted originally in Australia this last year, and it is stunning. They went back to the beginning and kind of rebuilt the show from, taking the original source material. And I've heard so many amazing things about this new production and that Disney magic taking place on stage at that whole big, gorgeous level. So I'm really excited that that's how we're starting the season.
Yeah.
And then personally, I've got to say, now our number one rule in theater is you never book for your own taste, right? But I have to say,
that's got to be hard.
I have to say, I personally am very excited about Hell's Kitchen because Alicia Keys is incredible. It's based on her songbook and loosely based on her life story as well. But it is such a gorgeous coming of age tale of a older teenage girl who's finding her way, finding her voice through this very complicated world, and the relationship between her and especially her mother, but her father as well. And it's a very touching, moving story, and of course set to an incredible soundtrack with Alicia Keys music. And I think Kimberly Akimbo is going to be the sleeper show of the season because it's a tricky title. Not a lot of people know what it is.
Right.
It's an interesting story to tell, but again, it is so heartwarming that people are going to walk away from that show saying, I had no idea what I was going to see, but it's now one of my favorites. It's a really, it's about a girl in high school who has a very rare genetic disease but it doesn't influence her outlook on life at all. She is incredibly positive. She's got a comedically dysfunctional family, and just how she navigates with her family and friends through that kind of coming of age. It's a very heartwarming tale that people will truly enjoy. So lots of great things. Of course, excited about Anne Juliet and bringing Hamilton and the Book of Mormon back.
Yes.
It's hard to find a better season.
Oh my gosh. So many great things. And there's more that you can find with the Broadway season. And I know you talked about this a little bit earlier about, don't book the series based on, your own taste, but maybe you could just give us a little bit of a glimpse about how the process works for selecting shows like this, because I can't even imagine with all of the amazing things that are out there. How do you guys go about what gets to come to the, Performing Arts Center here in the Fox Cities?
Well, like you said, this could be a whole episode, but I'll try to condense it. So one of the things is I'm very fortunate to be in New York and see the shows when they open. I was voted in when I became in this role. I'm actually a Tony voter, so that allows me the opportunity to be in New York and see the shows as they open. And that also then for our community, I'm able to be in conversations with the producers at a very early stage in the show to just kind of find out what are your touring plans, and when there are ones that we know particularly will play very, very well in the Midwest and specifically Appleton, I'm able to be in those conversations very quickly. And then we work with our partners at Broadway across America to continue that conversation, because there's a lot of factors that go into when a show actually decides to tour, where and when are they starting the tour? Are they going to start it on the West Coast or the East Coast? Are they going to start in the fall or the spring? So all of those things kind of start to inform the calendaring process of when is it likely to come to the Midwest and possibly the Performing Arts Center. And then you're trying to just make sure that we are spreading our shows throughout the calendar and we've got a good mix. So you're always kind of, it's a little bit of a chess game that you're trying to make sure that you're moving all of these pieces and always thinking 3 or 4 years out, depending on when a show will actually start to tour. When it will hit the Midwest, and then how does that line up with the rest of the shows that are possible? So you're always trying to work all of those things so that you end up like this year, fortunately, with a really well-rounded and well-dated season.
So, I mean, these are conversations, like you said, a couple years in advance. You know, you're already thinking multiple years in advance into, you know, future schedules.
Yes. And then it changes, right? Because some shows may have great plans and then something changes. So there's always that change.
Got to keep things moving. Well, that's, I mean, I'm sure many people were wondering about what goes on behind the scenes to make those things happen. So lots of planning, lots of great things that, you know, your team does to make a lot of these shows happen, which is great. So, you know, as you know, a big community gathering place, I know the PAC offers a variety of great programs that make the arts accessible and engaging for everyone. And I know you talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but can you just tell us a little bit more about some of those programs that are offered?
Yeah, I think what's really important is in order to achieve that goal of being a multicultural gathering place for everyone, that means we are always listening to the community to identify what are the barriers to participation. And when we have those conversations with groups in the community, then we're trying to figure out with them, okay, what are the potential solutions? And we're constantly evolving and trying to add more services or adjust the services that are being offered if we miss the mark. So some examples, if you think about physical access to the building, we're very fortunate that as we were being built, there were a lot of conversations around the physical accessibility to the building. And things change, right? So we have things like easy wheelchair access. We have transfer seats. We actually have wheelchairs at the Performing Arts Center. So if you are someone who is mobily impaired and just needs some extra assistance to get from the doors to your seats, we can help you with that. We've been adding services like enhancements we've made along the way. We now have T-coil enabled hearing loop for all of the seats in both spaces, Thrive Hall and Kimberly Clark Theater, as well as one of our windows in the ticket office. So if you have a hearing impairment and you have a T-coil enabled hearing aid, which is more than 95% of hearing aids these days, you're able to flip your switch and have the sound come directly into your hearing aid device.
That's awesome.
Exactly the way your audiologist prescribed for you. So that is a huge enhancement, allowing the arts to be accessible to so many more in our community. We also have a great app that's called Gala Pro that provides open captioning right to your phone. So and it's good for a lot of shows, right? If even if you maybe don't have a hearing impairment, but sometimes it's hard for you to understand the words when they're singing, you can have Gala Pro and have that available. Some new things that we are adding just this year. Last year, we were able to do a couple touch tours and audio description of a couple of the Broadway performances. This next season, we will have those available for all of the shows in the Broadway season. So every title for those with visual impairments, they can come and participate in a touch tour before the show so that they can actually feel some of the costume and prop elements. And then when they're seeing the show, they'll be able to have the show audio described to them so that they can better imagine and see what's happening on stage. We also partner with Culture City. So we know sensory sensitivities are a growing concern for more and more people in our community. So now we are Culture City certified, meaning that we are trained on how to support audience members in need. We have sensory kits available. We have quiet zones. So all of the things that individuals might need if they're in in the space and suddenly become overstimulated.
Yeah.
We will be launching a brand new social story on our website in a month or so that will help people better prepare for what the experience might be when they come to the Performing Arts Center. We were talking about that visualization of just knowing what kind of sounds are you going to encounter.
Yeah.
What are the things that you need to prepare so hopefully you don't become overstimulated. Then we also took a look at some of the issues that people may have from a financial access. So we've always had Student Rush available. We have scholarship tickets. We have a ticket donation program. We've enhanced our ticket donation program. So if you are an audience member and at the last minute you realize you can't use your seats, you can donate them back to the center, and we'll make sure that they get distributed to a nonprofit that maybe their clientele may not have access otherwise to tickets. And we also launched a community rush. So for our community members who are on any state assistance programs, they can get discounted tickets to events at the center. So
That's
those are just a
amazing.
few quick examples, and people can find out so much more. There are so many programs that we are creating to try to make sure that the experiences at the center are more accessible. People can find out more by going to our website or calling, and we'd be happy to talk them through it.
Yeah. That's amazing to just be able to break down those barriers that people may have, to wanting to come to a show, because maybe they are worried that some of those needs aren't able to be met just based on what's happening. So that's amazing for you guys that you're able to offer all of those things for a variety of different audiences of people who may need some of those assistance. So yes, find out more on their website, or I'm sure one of their great volunteers or staff members that we talked about can help them when they come in for a show as well. So I know we're talking about all these great things that you can come in and do. So how do you get tickets? Do you have to be a season ticket holder? Are there packages available? How does that work?
You don't have to be a season ticket holder, but if you become a season ticket holder or package buyer, you have a few added benefits. First of all, the best seats in the house at the best price, as well as some different flexibility options. And that varies a little bit depending on package. So I would definitely encourage you to give us a call at our ticket office or stop by, visit our website to find out more about those details. However, if being a season ticket holder isn't something that works for you and your lifestyle, you can definitely purchase tickets to the shows. Again, visiting the website will give you a lot of information about pricing, when tickets go on sale. You can also call anytime. Our agents are absolutely incredible, and they are happy to help community members with any of the questions that they may have. I would encourage people just to check it out. A lot of times those rumors can happen that shows are sold out. Once in a while, a show may sell out quickly, but more often than not, we're going to be able to help you find a way.
Sure. So always go and check them out beforehand just to make sure that there are some opportunities available.
And the one thing that I'll say is if you do go online, make sure that you are going to our website, foxcitiespac.com, because if you just Google the show or tickets to the Performing Arts Center, you're going to very likely end up on a secondary ticket site and end up paying a lot more for your tickets. So if you're looking at ticket prices online and you say, wow, I had no idea they'd be that expensive, take a look at where you are, because chances are you're not on our website and you've accidentally landed on a secondary ticket website, and that's going to be way more expensive.
Right. Yeah. And I know that can happen a lot when you're going to see any live performance. So yes, make sure you're going to their specific website for sure. So as we're, talking about supporting the PAC, is there a way that someone could, support them and support you guys outside of just coming to see a show?
Yeah, like you said, being present is so important. So attendance is so important. And we have our great volunteers. So if you have the time and you want to volunteer, that would be fantastic. We love our volunteers. We are a local nonprofit, so we are always looking for individuals and businesses who are able to support the center's ability to deliver the mission. A lot of these programs that we were talking about, from accessibility at all different levels, that requires support. So
absolutely.
Again, you can find out more about how to donate, how to volunteer, the tickets, everything's on our website.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we're wrapping things up here, what is one thing that you would want someone to remember about the Performing Arts Center after they're listening to this episode?
Well, I hope that people recognize how very fortunate we are to truly have this Performing Arts Center that is truly the community's gathering place. It is a very unique and incredible asset with lots of different opportunities at a wide variety of price points.
Yes.
So I hope that people will take a chance to dive a little deeper and experience something new.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So in your opinion, what do you think makes downtown Appleton one great place?
There are so many things, Abby. As you
Yes,
know, we're preaching
of
to the choir a
course.
little bit, but I would say it is the variety,
Yes.
right? It is such an incredible downtown with so much happening. There's great shopping, wonderful food, great people, and so much to do, so many ways to engage. So grab a friend and come down.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Maria, for coming on the show today and telling us about all the great things that are coming to the Fox Cities PAC this season and into the future as well. All right, you can learn more about their upcoming shows, series, and other events happening at the PAC on their website, foxcitiespac.com, and by following them on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you again for tuning in to Talk of the Town. We'll be back with more stories, more voices, and more reasons to love downtown Appleton. Until next time, keep your ears open. You just might be hearing the next Talk of the Town. This episode is brought to you by J. Geiger Consulting, a consulting firm specializing in J.D. Edwards Solutions and proud sponsor of Appleton Downtown Incorporated. Special thanks to local songwriter Amelia Ford for creating original music just for this podcast.